Somebody missed you, I'm sure.
Hmm?
But somebody missed you, I'm sure.
Yeah, you. My dogs, you should have seen them. Oh my God, you should have seen
They
them.
were happy to see you.
They were just like, oh my God, he's back. Where were you been? I like my dogs. They can talk back.
All right, good morning, everyone. I call to order the February 24th meeting of the Madison County Board of Commissioners. My name is Chris Wallace. If everybody would please introduce themselves.
Tony Sinikas.
Brennan Shay.
Rob Slang.
John Sweeney, Sheriff.
Ron Maynard, Assistant Clerk. Amy Reese Clark.
Kevin Williams, Engineer's Office.
Morning. Glad to get us started, Sheriff. Oh, yes, minutes, you're right, minutes. We do have minutes in front of us. Meeting minutes, everybody review.
Move to approve, dispense with the reading.
Second.
The first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneaky?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. There, and that is resolved.
Here we go. Good morning, everyone.
So sunny.
I don't have any items of business for you this morning. Just like to make a comment, you know, we did receive some thunderstorms late last week. Gave us some spontaneous flash flooding. And I would like to say kudos to our engineer's office that were ready and responded to the deputies when they were having high water on the roadway. And it was short-lived, but they all responded well. So thank you guys for that. Other than that, I don't have any business. I was out for a couple days and I'm back, and we have our court hearing today. That's why our prosecutor's not in this morning. We have a jury trial starting today. Be available for that if they need anything. Unless you gentlemen have anything with me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kevin?
I don't have anything to add this morning.
Wow, move right along. All right,
No business.
are you serious?
I mean, I can,
I'm liking this meeting.
I can fill up an hour of, bringing you up to speed on things.
We needed this last week when we were just letting the.
Yeah.
Well, since Phil drank his coffee.
And that might not happen in my office. I told her that was gonna come over. I'm good at that. These sunglasses and coffee.
I forgot my phone.
Oh,
It's in the truck. I don't feel like going back.
I must okay, check it. So,
Sugar glitters.
stand in the window and I'll unlock it and I'll go get it for you.
You would?
Yeah.
Know where it's at?
No?
They take it when you're going to beeps. The only reason is, huh? Yeah.
So it's a truck. It's beside. Oh, it's-
Side beside the county car.
It's on the little holder. You'll see it.
Okay.
Just
I'm
something.
worried that somebody's gonna call from the clinic and I need it.
So my chicken eggs, the shells are kind of soft. You got any recommendations?
Yeah, sure do. You gotta put some calcium in it.
Oyster shells?
Just buy it, mix it in with the feed. We'll put it on the side so they can eat whatever they want.
Pick through.
If they lay like that, they pull all the calcium out of their bones and put it in the shell. You need to replace it.
Okay.
Yep. Are you feeding them mash?
With that,
Are you feeding them like a crumble? Definitely.
back from last night, like,
Yeah.
So feed them shells,
huh?
feed them the shells from the other chickens.
Don't do that.
Do it.
Don't do it. We're gonna start eating their eggs. Do not do that. Don't listen to it.
To increase your, flock's immunity.
Yeah. You can, but you gotta crush it to a powder.
So they don't know what it is.
Yeah, just get a nice big shell, so like,
Don't do it.
Why don't I just feed them the eggs?
Okay.
There you go.
Have you ever seen them attack an egg?
Mm-hmm.
They will eat, it. Like if one of them is walking and drops one, they'll eat it right in the
Yes,
mouth.
they do.
I never did
They
that.
eat the shells?
Hmm?
I don't, you want them to eat the shells?
Cause then they get used to eating the eggs. They'll see the egg and they'll go after the egg.
I don't know, maybe.
TSC has it, little bag.
Okay.
Brendan,
Or I can get you some.
appreciated your
Go to
email,
the mechanics.
your discussion
I'll get you some.
with the auditor. Thank you. It has been 4 or 5 years now, but I see these,
I had the same conversation.
The
there.
timeline.
That's them too.
Yeah, she said these exact words before.
I had that conversation.
Just relay.
no, I do appreciate the conversation because it's, you know, I think we've all had the discussions and.
It does seem like there's a lot of turnover right now.
I was looking at
I
the
would
line,
agree
but we're
with
still on
that.
So I mean, that seems, if you've got maternity leave, retirement, and a change in location.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah.
Did you bring us any treats back?
No,
Now that person that
Ate it
is,
all.
is leaving, you know, the new person could come in
I
and utilize that system right off the bat.
did plant that seed, it'd be a natural time to make such a transition.
When's Lincoln Day?
All that is. Okay.
They were considering dates in April.
That's the job last year. What they had, what did they cater? Like, did you go last year?
It was at Sovereign Village again.
That was a non-factor.
Where
It's not.
did not go.
oh, well, what do we owe you for the change?
I think it's $35
Each.
Did again, March.
Thank you so much.
Never It's a Thursday.
Remember that. Sorry. That's why I give you a thing to beat.
I know, but actually I was stealing some of Marvin's phone for a minute there. Just checking.
Thank you.
Not a truck.
One after coffee, so.
You didn't give me money, you know, give me cheese.
I won't last long this morning. I now have to find my coffee.
Amy, want to come in?
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Ash and the shower suit. Mhm.
Are you kidding me? You got nothing in my office. You guys had me all flustered when I went in there. Thank you, Rich.
Put your name on it.
There you go.
Nothing.
You dazzle with.
A resolution approving the payment of invoices for the Madison County Auditor.
So, second.
Well, first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
A resolution increasing appropriations to the Commissioner's other expense line.
So,
Second.
Well, first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
yes.
Dr. Sneakus,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
A resolution approving an increase of appropriations to the courthouse construction expense line.
So moved.
Second,
Well, first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
yes.
Dr. Sneakus,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing submission of a land use planning grant for Madison County Farmland Preservation Plan update.
We discussed that a little bit since I wasn't.
What would you like to discuss?
What is it?
It's basically just a grant to, discuss that plan, update that plan if need be, but really to have a discussion about farmland preservation, and that plan has not been updated in some years. Just kind of taking a look at it, seeing if we want to make any changes, updates to that plan, stakeholder engagement.
So it's a $25,000 grant essentially to be used to do exactly what Commissioner Wallace said, and in addition, hire a consulting firm to guide that process. So we have to, there's a match, but the match can be in kind contribution, so hours, resources, that sort of thing. And we may have to put some money forth as well, just depending on, the consulting firms, what they come back.
Is there any thought about changing what's already in place?
I mean, that's part of the process. I mean, yeah, maybe you get to the end of the process and you decide to change nothing. But maybe you get to the end of the process and you think there needs to be maybe not major changes, but minor changes, minor revisions to the plan as currently outlined. I mean, I know there's some folks that have been coming to meeting with the idea that the conditional use process needs to be changed, or that structure needs to be changed. So that can be part of that conversation as well, to see if we do want to take a look at that.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be part of that process where everything will kind of be on the table. You have the stakeholder meetings, and maybe you do all of that, you have the stakeholder meetings, you have the engagement, and decide not to change a word. That could be the result.
Fair enough.
So we need to designate a dollar amount and a percentage for the in-kind match. So is it 25,000 if we do 100% of a match? How does that work?
Julie was working on the application, so I'm not entirely sure.
So I knew it was 25,000, but there's a match. Does that match something, or is it equal to the grant? And even if it's in kind, who's gonna do it?
Well, she'll be here today, so if you want to table that, we can.
Yeah, let's table that till she gets here. I think that's a question that needs to be answered.
Sounds good.
We can table that until. Oh, she is coming? She's not on the agenda. Yeah, she's not on the agenda. I don't think she's coming.
She was on the
The
agenda.
last.
That was last week, but she said she'd come back.
I didn't put her on there, so I don't know if she.
Yeah, she's scheduled to come in today with, OSU extension, unless I'm getting confused with next
No
Tuesday.
one formally asked me to be on the agenda. She said she would come back,
Well,
but
someone give her just a quick call.
Yeah,
we'll look first.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think if she's not coming, it's for.
What Kevin doing?
Resolution approving a zoning, oops, no, I was gonna wait for that one for Dennis to get here. Resolution approving an increase in the 2026 budget for the drug law enforcement fund.
Second?
The first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of cash from Fund 2070 recount fund to 2055 election revenue.
So moved.
Second.
The first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
A resolution approving budget revisions for the Madison County Family and Children's Council.
Moved.
Second.
The first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Thank you.
so you got an email on, on Wednesday, the 18th. Could I please make an appointment on Tuesday morning to discuss farmland preservation grant application and request a resolution from the commissioners to apply?
Did refer resolution. So,
See attached letter from Soil and Water Conservation.
all that, maybe, but I did not.
Yeah, so I talked to her on the phone and she wanted to bring in OSU extension to have discussions on surveys, if we're gonna online surveys.
So is the incline work gonna be from that office or from our office?
It's gonna be a combination of myself, Julia and Amanda, from OSU extension. So we'll take our weight. How many hours we work, add that all up, that'll be the in-kind contribution. And whatever money needs to be added, like a survey, if the consultant comes in at say 25,000 and you want to do a survey, then you're gonna have to pay for the survey. So you could budget that. That may be something that comes out of the county's pocket. Make sense?
Makes sense.
But do we know how the match works? Is that what Julia? can you help us with?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a 10% or 50% match, but she would.
We'll keep trying to get it with the 10:30. Sorry about that.
So I assume she was coming in today to discuss all this, so.
That would make sense. But it would be, they can be used to pay the consultant, they would be used to pay the consultant, pay for whatever survey, pay, it's such as we need it. But we also may have to do some sort of match, whether that's in kind or cash.
We do have to do a match. I just don't know how much.
That's my question. I mean,
The percent
get 25,000, get 25,000, but what, usually every grant has something to do with.
Sure, yeah, we'll figure that out, yeah. Yeah, so the 25 can be used, yeah, for the consultant, for survey work, for what needs to be done, but yeah, we probably have to do some sort of match as well. And maybe it can all be in kind through our hard work and efforts.
She is on the agenda at 10:30. I must.
She is on the agenda.
It's on the online agenda.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gotta not
Just
transfer,
didn't make it to this
copy and
agenda.
pasted to in there.
You're just messing with me now.
Of course, of course I did, right, of course.
Okay.
So yeah, Julia, 10:30. Noted. Yeah, Julia, sign stuff now. Good trip, fantastic. How long were you there? 2 weeks?
Okay.
Oh, that's a.
Drive your back.
Sure.
She should have this morning.
Oh, you haven't. She did.
Oh. Going back.
Yeah.
Go a long way.
I tell you that.
I'm doing
Not doing further.
$5 employee.
It was same.
Yeah, the actual credential, the credential.
The library agrees is building.
See if I can leave my coffee cup somewhere else this morning. Would you like to buy it?
It wasn't built.
Remember that, yeah. Remember they talked that they would.
And you know what? All the stadiums are open to anybody. who wants to go.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to open it because I was going.
Well, you guys have your. That's been us.
You run from the front. All the games. Could you imagine?
I'm gonna leave you here for somebody else. We're all figuring each other.
It was great. It was a very good deal.
We're all in. It's talk about it.
Okay.
I had 4 in the bag last night. We were
Yeah,
finishing off.
we take a break, then you can stop.
But my great nephew, we're gonna.
This was a pretty last.
Shut the bag.
You don't like the same thing, it's fine.
I thought it sounds you didn't design
Record retention. But.
No, this is,
Oh, something
And it's not from Gil's.
47.
about the same song.
Sheriff.
Yeah. And then you want anything today.
7 to 13.
John left chocolate.
What's that?
Happy birthday.
So, we ran it through a independent company, Crossroads Community. They took a look at the document as it was, made some recommendations on changes and revisions. We did that. Now they are going to import it into their model, which is a easier to read, more comprehensive document. So we will receive that on March 3rd. That'll be sent out to Regional Planning Commission and Rural Zoning Commission in email, so they'll have time to review it. March 7th, Regional Planning meets on March 14th. Another month after that of review, questions, answers, concerns. That brings it up to the April meeting, which then rural planning would make their recommendations, zoning commission make their recommendation. I think I have it scheduled for approval from the county commissioners either April 28th or the week after that.
So when's it available for the?
Public to read,
Yeah,
as in draft form, it'd be March 3rd.
and where do I find that?
I can send it to you. We haven't received it yet.
Yeah. Trying to navigate the website. You know, you gotta know the secret handshake and know where to click to
Yeah,
pull up the documents. It's not like it just happened before, so. My biggest question, I guess, is this still an amendment? What's your stance on repeal and replace? I sent the question and, Dennis has answered, a bunch of questions, but I mean, you're the policy makers. Is it still just an amendment to the 20-some-year-old code, or is it gonna be, this is gonna be the new, whole new start date? Especially for like the traditional use.
Start, isn't it? New code. I mean, we're basically revamping the entire,
yeah, I mean,
so it's a pretty comprehensive change. I don't know whether we're labeling it as an amendment or a new code. I mean,
There's some people that want it as an amendment.
I don't know if there's
I don't know that it's.
tomato.
Yeah.
Well, if you're keeping the conditional uses in to this mother parcel back in '02, it's a big deal. Whether it's an amendment or a whole new start date, just restart the clock. There's landowners, farmers that, have used their conditional uses and, the kids have built houses on farms. And
Sure.
we've got another generation and no, can't do anything. I mean, that's just one example. But then, when you got family farms that are to the point where now they've got to sell and, they want to maximize, they need to know what they can do and trying to navigate and going back, 25 years and figure out what was another parcel. To know what they've got, I mean, I think that puts a burden on the county to have to do title searches. And, who's gonna do that, who's gonna pay for it, the timing to, to meet the different boards, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so from that perspective, I think it will be a zoning amendment, because I think we're doing a further study to look at the farmland preservation document and whether we want to make updates to that document. So I think that's going to be part of a separate study to see whether or not we want to change the conditional use policy going forward. So I don't think we're going to change the conditional use now in that zoning change, but we could look to change the way we handle conditional uses as part of our farmland preservation document, which we're getting the grant to kind of study that issue, talk to stakeholders, and have a conversation regarding that particular document, which governs farmland preservation and conditional uses. So that subject will be studied, it will be looked at, but I don't think we're going to immediately change that by calling this a new zoning code. Therefore, kind of resetting everything when it comes to conditional uses. At least that's my thought at this time.
So what's the time frame from the grant to the time we had?
Well, we're just now submitting an application for it right now.
So we may not even get the grant.
We may not get the grant, but I think our odds are pretty good. So, we would start the process of, it doesn't meet the bid threshold, so we could hire anybody that you felt was competent. So we would go out there and start looking for firms, to quarterback this. And then I don't know how long that process would take, if it's a month or 3 months or 6 months
Or Julia may have some answers later on.
Yeah, at the end of the day, once that study is complete, as Commissioner Wallace mentioned, we go through the stakeholder meetings, we look at the document, we look at their recommendations. Ultimately, the commissioners would decide either to maintain the current number of CUs or increase that amount, or mother parcels and size of those parcels and so forth, so on. You would adopt a new Farmland Preservation Act. Zoning then would be tied to that. So, the zoning amendment can still happen. It ties back to farmland preservation. And the zoning amendment, I mean, you can amend the zoning code 6 months from now if you desire. Sure. Or 3 months, or, you just have that 90 days from initiation either by rural planning commission. Right, did I say that right? The planning commission. Yeah, regional planning commission, sorry, or the county commissioners. They, either one can initiate the process, and then it has to be completed within that 90 days. And there's some time constraints within that 90 days, but you could essentially, in theory, amend the zoning code every 90 days if you desire. So it's not, carved in stone per se. Does that make sense, Tom? Sort of, kind of, yeah.
So would it be worth it to have somebody ready, if we do get the grant, to do our research now, who we want to hire to do that, to get things going, rather than waiting, maybe a month or whatever for the grant, and then at least do our research now, we get the grant, and we can proceed quicker?
Yeah, we've got emails out.
All right.
So kind of two different projects that are tied together at the end.
I'll wait for the revisions.
So yeah, March 3rd, the draft, what I would expect to be the final draft, that'll be available. I can send you a copy of that.
I appreciate it.
And then, so it'd be May 5th. If everything goes through, without any issues, then the commissioners would adopt the new zoning amendment, May 5th.
Without any issues.
Well, hopefully, that's 2 months.
I'm 99% certain there'll be issues, and I know who will cause them.
That's 2 months to get them ironed out. Now, these dates,
People
of
like to
course,
test me by it.
I mean, they can change, because the commissioners haven't initiated the process again. So right now, we're not under any time frame. Once they initiate, then we have that. That time frame. We're stuck asking that.
So just a suggestion on the document. I wonder if you could post it under the links on our website, maybe draft documents or something. I don't know, someplace where, because I've had this question
Hey,
right on that first page.
yeah, you got the zoning code and the amendments and the comp plan and all,
Those are the links to the different documents. I think they're
Right.
requesting basically a schedule.
Well, both, I mean, both would be fine, but I think the working document would be good for people to be able to access.
Oh, it's March 3rd documents.
Yes,
99% won't ever look for it, but.
right, but it's,
The 1% that do, the last one was tough.
0.5%.
You have to call.
I think it's 1%.
It'll take me less than 5 minutes to put a link up there for the document.
yeah, it's like from the main page, just makes it a little easier.
And there's some planning.
So part of that, this farmland preservation is still this 20-acre thing, it's kind of floating around with that.
We're just now applying for the grant, so that's a question for the commissioners on
Yeah.
what their thoughts are on them.
But yeah, I have to see what the wording is on the new.
Yeah. At the end of the study, we hope to have some sort of idea of what the public feels, the stakeholders feel, what is, a tolerable amount, what is not. And there's a few other things in there that kind of need fine tuned and cleaned up. It's a 25-year-old document. Something like that, 24 years old, 25, so.
It's coming up in 25.
Yeah, so
Who, we the only ones around when it came here, oh my.
No, I did the mother parcel in the GIS.
Okay, yeah, it was just.
So I'm gonna write you down as a stakeholder to attend.
You know, I don't have a dog in the hunt, but
Well, I mean,
I have clients that do.
Yeah.
And most of them, you know, when you sit down and, you know, and you tell them what the code is, what the rules are, they kind of go, well, when did that change? What, you know,
yeah,
they have no clue until it hits them, you know, until they want to do something.
well, I think you bring perspective to the stakeholder meetings. You know, that's exactly the input that we'll be looking for.
And those are gonna be at the regional planning and
No, this will be an individual,
you'll have a whole public hearing.
yeah, but there'll be actual stakeholder meetings where roundtable discussions and work.
Good.
So it'll be, you know, people.
That's on the farm thing.
Just on the farmland side, just on the farmland preservation, so there'll be business leaders, you know, farmers, you know, realtors,
But as far
government officials.
as the zoning changes, they're not gonna be a public hearing or anything,
Yeah, there will be.
aside from the regional planning and rural zoning and all that. Okay.
Yeah, so I have the, public hearing scheduled for, 4/28 right now.
What you send in the schedule?
With, and if the commissioners, after that meeting, they could either approve it that day, or I have it scheduled for May 5th for adoption there. Then it's like 30 days maybe after that, that division, so.
Thanks. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Think it's there, so.
Yeah, this is your 9:30. For reasons.
Channel in the back, of the zoning.
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Might be for 9:35.
It was posted to me for the intervention.
What's that?
It was posted to me first.
Yeah, we need to wait, yep. Yep, this one cannot start early. Yep, so we.
Brendan, you have names picked out?
Put some options.
Some options. Are you here for the 9:30 rezoning? Yes. No, on the back.
No, for the budget meeting, for the CDBG.
Okay, got it, yep, that's at 9:45. Got it, thank you, sir.
No, it's gonna be a really.
Sure, that's the springs. Find out eventually.
What is your ratio now? Do you have any?
We had 3 boys, 4 girls. Finds the score or?
That was my goal. And
Crowd.
No.
Hey, Rhonda.
Quiz. Small, tiny.
yeah. He's been running.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Are you good? Are you here for sport? Step up? Oh. Oh. I heard this morning.
Oh, come on.
I almost had my wrist. He remembers.
So did you officially?
He does.
Well, officially, the subject. I hope it.
Are you enjoying?
No, geez, security, get out of here. Get them out.
Double.
Yeah,
I'm off 5 minutes.
Oh, I must.
we know, not unless you signed in. Let's get this. I have to use, but I do try to use the gavel sparingly, if I have to try to get this. That's what I'm talking about. You question, John, to look at this. So much.
I think it was good to look on that.
But it's easy to look at it. Yeah, unless you want to look at this one.
I will, I'll pass it right back around.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9:30. This is the time set aside for the rezoning, EZ 25-10. We'll hand it over to Dennis.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for having me today. Today's case is, like you said, is, rezoning for PC 25-10. This is, Mr. Green has requested to rezone from C2 commercial to PID, which is Planned Industrial District. Total is about 43.557 acres. Is right there on the corner of State Route 29 and US 42. They also went through the subdivision review board on October 9th of 2025. They was approved, or they was recommended. As long as they fill out, they have to come back and could do the fill out the stormwater permit. And they said that as long as they follow the comp plan, which they do, which is PID for that area, that they're good with it. They also went in front of the Regional Planning Commission on December 9th of 2025, and they were approved. And then once again, on the Rural Zoning Commissioners on January 20th, which they also approved. So this is why we're here, is to rezone that property. And that's the plans that they submitted in to me just a few minutes ago.
Just a few minutes ago, so has anything changed from what we saw at the other boards or?
No, it just now, that's just the actual preliminary plans of this. Meats and potatoes of it.
Is this a spec building or is it? Do we know?
Built, it's a built.
Okay.
Very good.
So the plan is, hopefully getting approved today. We will be submitting our development plan short, probably next week.
Very good. Gentlemen, any questions, concerns, comments? All right,
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Thank you.
Gentlemen. Our greatest roller. You're right. I don't want to hear the part.
Thank you.
I don't think I want to hear it.
It's huge.
I want to know. Best, that's the. We're ready, 12 more minutes, 12 more minutes, we'll get started, right? You're 9:45?
Yep.
All right, 12 minutes, we will recess until 9:45. Mr. Mayor, always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Good. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
To go. All right, good morning, everyone. It is now 9:45. This is the time set aside for the CDBG allocation planning meeting. I'll turn it over to Whitaker.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Whitaker Wright with CDC of Ohio. This is Tom Perry in our office. Today we're holding our biannual planning meeting because it is the county's allocation year, 2026. We apply every 2 years for approximately $170,000. They may go up this year, the final 6 months later. It does, it might go up to 180,000 in a couple of months. In addition to the allocation program, we have about half of the community development funds are dedicated to competitive grants. Neighborhood revitalization, all the villages have had one at this point. So you all know what those are. Basically, you can spend up to about $750,000 on projects that benefit residents in a particular part of the county. A neighborhood in London or village-wide in Mount Sterling, Midway, South Sullivan. Must be 51% low moderate income. The nice thing is this year, everybody's in. Which is a surprise. London is for the first time in decades. West Jefferson is for the first time in decades. The critical infrastructure, also, it's a $500,000. It is for one project, one high priority. Essentially, something is broken and we need to fix it. An example would be a water line that is under findings and orders, sewer lines are under findings and orders. Something that's critically important that has to be addressed. Their hierarchy is essentially water and sewer first, drainage second. Then we do it like street reconstruction, so do those, but that's the lower priority. You have to have a really good reason, like children being run over, to do critical infrastructure, with us. All these applications are due in June. They do require what the state calls a pre-application. They want to review the project roughly, budget, proposal in advance, to make sure it's going to actually be eligible. They don't want a lot of ineligible projects being submitted. If they deem it to be eligible, they will open an application in their online system and will permit to that apply. The downtown program is now more of a discretionary grant. I'm not getting to the discretionary program in a moment. Economic development, that's through Savannah and the commissioner's office. So I don't typically deal with those, unless I'm writing an environmental review. Now, the one that we do frequently deal with in some communities is the residential public infrastructure, beautifully renamed RPIG, which is the old water and sewer program. That is a $750,000 grant, but it's typically tied to other funding. The state wants to come in sort of at the end of that, where you have $1 million, $2 million project, and they're like covering that last increment. The county has had one recently in Summerford Township. That would be an example where they'd have to do a huge project. This is just the last piece. Other programs would be the discretionary program. We've done a couple of those. Most recently with the DD board, we rebuilt the parking lot, which was a traffic hazard for children. And it seems to have gone pretty well. I mean, it's a seamless project. It's nice. What we do, there are obviously multiple ways to qualify projects. However, because almost all the communities now have a line, except in Plain City, we don't have to go through income qualification this year. So the biggest one, if we're not going to do something by area, would be slum and blight, which is typically reserved for demolition. That's a typical allocation project because it's $20,000 or $30,000 to tear down a building. In the past, the county has asked if those requests come through the village, the city, the township, not from private property owners. That way, the community's on board with tearing down the building rather than we probably did this one to soak up, because it's very limited allocation funding. We're permitted 2 allocation projects total. So if you do submit a project this year, remember that you're not going to get all $170,000. I did include a couple of items just to look at. This is the community inventory. Most of you have actually filled this out in past, the village in the city. If you want, please fill it out again. It's just a way of helping me look at needs just in a general way. You know, if there's a water issue, sanitary, obviously, the whole county's flat as a pancake, so drainage is typically an issue for a lot of people. Parking, recreation, it's an easy reference, for us to look at quickly. Now, I'm typically talking with all of you at some point during the year, so I have a pretty good idea of what goes on. However, I am retiring, and Thomas is taking over for me. As I said in my email, Tom has a lot of experience. He worked with the city of Norwood for several years, and then he was at the state. So he knows both sides of the desk, to say, and he's got a good knowledge base. He's running grants now in other communities, and he'll actually be running the 26 program. And he was copied on the email, but Tom, why don't you give him your email address?
Sure, yeah, it's Thomas, THOMAS J Perry at att.net.
It's a whole lot easier to remember than mine.
Yeah.
But if you have questions, you can email Tom or me. I'll just forward them to Tom. We would like to have projects proposals in by April 15th. It's an easy day to remember for all of us. This is the project sheet. Some of you I've talked with already. I've been about a month ago. Salsa has got a number of concerns with potential projects. One of them is the critical infrastructure. We did a neighborhood, but they've got other issues with the water plant and sewer plant. We're kind of sorting through with the engineer now. Now Sterling has a critical, they're doing camera work tomorrow.
That's right. I'm swinging.
All right. And that's in process. So we would have one other slot if something comes up. But again, you know, it's just to write a proposal is to, you know, get a little map. Typically I recommend, and the state doesn't require, getting an engineer if you need one, if you prefer one. Come in, look at everything, give you cost estimate. And even if it's really high, I'd rather have it in the books. That way we know for the future, we can do another project. At this point, I'll just open the floor for questions, but before I do, in the very back, this is the golden map. And it's really nice because if you can see London, Midway, Mount Sterling, Plumwood, South Sterling, West Jefferson, now all Elma. So, you know, for London, for example, we're not just limited to the south end. We can do the whole city. And I know that's been a big deal with drainage around the city. So that's really nice. The townships, Monroe, Lafayette, Deer Creek, Stokes. We have fewer Western townships just because it's more limited we can do for that. Yeah, a lot of them expressed interest in paving, but at $100,000 a mile, it's like, it eats it up pretty fast. For a village like Plain City, what we're doing now this year, we're finishing up is an ADA project. We just found out the poles are finally been delivered. Finally, but they are eligible for ADA or Sloan and White. Because that is a specific issue, it's not based on area. So keep that in mind, and then the very last page, if you take a look, it just shows, I put it on the screen. For quick reference, everybody, when you highlight in yellow, the percent of the communities are LOIs. So there's no guessing involved, and you can look at it. It's nice to see, 3 years from now, you're not gonna go, oh, are we on the line or not? Well, yeah, we'll know, but keep this handy, and go from there. Do people have thoughts of projects?
Did you say Arctic, still called Arctic?
Still covered. The state is. Yeah. They're talking about rejiggering the program this year. We don't know what that's gonna look like yet. They've been trying to roll out this new Salesforce grant system. It's been a little rocky. They're getting things together. The grant agreements are coming out now. They're trying to kind of build these, it's called modules, so they go, the finance module. So we don't know, that we did applications last year in Salesforce. That seemed to work pretty well. There's some changes, making it the print a basic application out after it's done. But in general, I think what they're looking at is how do they, with continued reductions in funding and pressure from HUD to reduce grantees and get more impact. I think they're really debating how they want to do that, and we just don't know yet. I know that the state's made some comments, they took a lot of input last year. They'll probably present that, and I'm guessing in April at some point.
But that will not impact the programs for 2026. They've said that it's gonna be the same for 2026, and then 2027 would be the year if there are any changes that would occur.
Because for them, we're in a 4-year, for the state, we're in a 4-year cycle. The 25 and the 26 money was allocated to the state, 25. So program year 25, program year 26, we already know basically the funding for that. It would be 27 forward. So we can pretty much go with this knowing it will take place. We have talked about, different options, South Solon, critical. I know Mount Sterling, you have a boatload of needs. But Midway, London, let us know. Very important, you can always call, Jake, and, talking about other projects. Say with you guys in London, you've got something in mind, let me know. DD, I'm sure you have something in mind up your sleeves. You're already smiling. No. So it's, well, I'm just open the floor for questions. It's not,
Did a good job.
it's not get the guest, guys. I mean, it's not like we're going,
Speechless.
Amy is taking careful notes on who talks and who doesn't, so.
Hey, he's retiring, you got the room. It's gone.
Yeah.
No, like.
Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It's a cold morning. I'd like you to meet Tom. He is much nicer than I am, so he will do a great job with you guys. And thank you very much.
Very good.
15.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I think we have it in, what should I, 13 minutes? I'm really fast.
So we'd rather you didn't.
Okay, thank you. I just want to thank Whitaker. I know he's retiring, but the amount of money that he's been able to bring into this county and, he's become a friend over the years. He's done so much for the city of London, for what I'll speak on. And I just appreciate everything he's done, and big shoes to fill, Thomas. But thank you, Whitaker.
He will do it. He will more than fill the shoes. I guarantee it.
And at the risk of agreeing with the mayor, I agree. You have been a true friend to our program, and I appreciate it. And I told you that. I appreciate everything that you done.
Please invite his lunch.
Deal.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good assignment sheet circulating.
Well, it's got it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Advertising.
I don't want to look for.
Oh, yeah. Because that going to.
Guys.
Yes, sir.
How are you? Nice. Yeah. Did the mayor's get you that letter in that?
You were the first.
Yeah, I gotta give my cards as well.
Get some gold. Get the gold. going.
Yeah, the opera.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
Yes.
Well, that's okay. What's your name?
Yeah, it's.
Contacts us old.
Yeah.
I thought she was midway. I thought she was midway. I thought she was midway. She's right. Wow.
You didn't make it.
Yeah.
What you did, you signed it? But yeah, if the guy didn't do it.
Yeah, it's still, there's still obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be.
She was good.
There was another.
No, we got that.
5 minutes.
We got 8 minutes.
Well, that's going.
Nice to meet you.
What's my price? Yes, but this is 5 minutes. So Stacy's the one that says there.
Good.
Good, all right. Very good. It is 10:10. This is now the time we had set aside for the EDA committee update.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen, for meeting with us today. I wanted to just give you a brief update. I believe, Amy, you have all the handouts, the things I emailed to you for the gentleman. Basically, a quick update. We met last week. We had probably 6 or 8 different folks from different agencies. We've come up with, for each site, like, for example, this is the main courthouse. This is the action item list, that Dan and Michael will work off of. We have one for municipal court also, and one for DGFS, and we're doing each site. It's easier for them to work off of rather than those big binders and all that kind of stuff. But this just has, exactly what's done. You can see the highlighted ones, the ones that have been completed since I printed this off yesterday. So, couple things, reading through that. One of the lowest hanging fruit we have is the doorknobs in the courthouse, or the entry doors, are all considered non-ADA compliant because you can't open them with a closed fist. And now these are just the entry doors. Chime in.
Public use areas.
Not offices. And so where we need more of like a lever type, to where if someone had some sort of disability with their hand, they would be able to open the doors. There are 13 currently in the courthouse, in the main courthouse. And it's, for example, the probate jury court door, the clerk's door, the grand jury room door, jury room second floor, common pleas, those kind of things. So Dan's going to look at finding a replacement for those knobs, something that looks good and is economically good, because that would fix 13 things that are on the list. You'll notice there are some new blue handicap signs, accessibility signs throughout the building. You'll see the bright blue ones. Thank you, Dan. And again, the doors, if you want to talk to them about that, but that's really the high point of the doors. And the doorknobs and the signage. We've come a long way, at least in the 2 courthouses so far. And then we're moving forward with the other sides. So,
Good
With
progress.
the door project, we're currently investigating 28 desirable sites for storefront aluminum door replacements with automatic openers. Interviewed with County Firm, which is, an extension of CCAO. They're the first engineering group I've met with. I'm still researching and needing to interview 2 more for planning policy. I actually have a copy of their initial, quote for that. With those 28 sites, we're looking, I think, 8 different, 28 doors, excuse me, at 7 or 8 individual sites, including Word of BD, Fairhaven, the Lafayette facility with Tractor Supply. And there was also an issue, apart from the doors. Last meeting, Mr. Meyer presented a packet of deficiencies. Those have been completed, in 2024. So that's a 2-year-old list that he's presenting. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Those things have been completed and, we are quickly chewing away at this list.
and back to that list, last thing I was gonna talk about, the 1 through 5 are things that have already been fixed. 6 through 12 are things that are reasonable accommodations. The issues of no chairs in municipal court in the lobby. That's not an ADA issue. If someone needs a chair, all they got is ask for one. And all the, people standing in the hallway, leaning on the walls, lady with a booted foot, well, that's not ADA compliance. That's just reasonable accommodations, which each site knows if someone needs a chair, you can get them a chair. So that's not anything we have to change. In all 14 binders that were reviewed, there was no mention that you have to have chairs in foyer areas as people await court.
When you
So,
say binders, you're talking about the study that we had done
correct,
originally.
correct.
Okay,
They
I
said
just,
we have a binder for each site.
right,
We
right.
have a binder.
So
And
that, the list you have is just more of an easier to
Correct.
read version
Yes.
of what we had already done.
And a lot of the things in the binder, there's a lot of things here especially that can't be done due to historical,
Absolutely.
those kind of things. And, so we basically, and reasonable accommodations, we left all those in the binder. These are just the action items that
Gotcha.
move to these
Very good.
papers. And we will update them each month as stuff gets completed. So that it's just too much to go through and
Oh,
for
sure.
people, especially if you got Michael working on something, oh, that's historical. But we went through each line item and then we pulled out only the things that we're going to be looking at
Very good.
repair. So.
Fantastic, making good progress. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Are there any grants available to help out with some of the costs?
I'm searching for any of them that I can find, but
Appreciate it.
usually a lot of times they don't do grants for. I don't want to say for ADA compliance, but they don't do a lot of grants for that, but I look each week when I get a, so if I can find some, I'll sure pass them on and I usually forward them to Amy anyway when I get them, so.
Very good, thank you.
Appreciate the update.
And this is Elise, my intern, she's a mom of
Great.
a young man that we serve and she's in her master's degree and she's spending some time at our agency.
Okay, well,
Fantastic. Well, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Great.
Good.
Ready?
Anything else?
I think that's good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Please, good question answered.
Thank you.
Right. Good question and. All right, it's now 10:15. Thereabouts. This is the time we had set aside for the sealed bid opening for a process server for the Madison County Child Support Enforcement Agency.
Thank you, Commissioners. As we posted back on January 29th to ask for any sealed bids for the process server, you only got the one. So we do have one to open at this time. This is to provide the process serving services for child support through Madison County's Department of Job and Employment Services.
Right? Dennis got a couple.
He said drop one.
So an effective date of February 17th, Doug Crabb submitted a bid to be Madison County Child Support process server for the year 2026. He says it's unchanged from previous years where you've served in this position. Attachment 2 has cost and delivery. The bid indicates 2 attempts in county and adjacent counties, 1 attempt statewide. He says, please take note that prior to return of any paper, a brief report of attempts is filed within Madison County Child Support's recording. That if the service is difficult, I make multiple attempts on all papers until resources are exhausted, including computer programs, and assist with other courts and law enforcement. So he'd be pleased to continue to be our process server. Doug Crabb has been our process server the entire 26 years that I've been at the agency. So I would, and he is at this point the only one that has submitted a bid, so I would respectfully request that we approve Doug Crabb as our process server, $50 for a minimum of 3 attempts, 75 in county, and $75 for adjacent counties for a minimum of 3 attempts, statewide $85 for a minimum of 3 attempts. That would be my request.
So moved.
Second?
The first and the second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Dr. Sneakus?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you need this to write the resolution?
Yeah, well, no, I have. Or no, I don't.
No, you
We
need
still-
Doug's, you need Doug's.
Yeah.
And just bring, I brought Candace Lindley with me. Candace started with us yesterday. She is our human resource officer. So those of you know Diana Fry have been in the position for 30+ years. And then we had a few different attempts for an HR officer, unsuccessful. We're very excited about Candace joining us. And again, she started yesterday. I'm gonna give her down and introduce her to Steve if Steve's here
Great.
for this.
Yeah, welcome aboard. Nice to meet you.
I also might mention Bobby Jacobs was the one that was supposed to be here today, and I don't know if Amy had a chance to share. Okay, so Bobby has been on a heart transplant list for about 6 or 9 months. She got the call Sunday at 10 o'clock at night. She slept through the call, so the hospital called her mom, who then immediately drove to her house and woke her up. And by midnight, she was in the hospital and she received a transplant at about 5 a.m. yesterday. So that is why she is not here, and I had to shift my schedule around. But if you know Bobby, she's local, born and raised, she lives in Sterling, so keep her in your thoughts and.
Yeah, we will do. Yeah.
She, we're gonna figure out her special day for everybody, so, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Shoot, if I know he's here, I would have said anything nice about it.
Thank you, thank you. I wonder if that's who that was. Doug, I assumed it was him, but I didn't know for certain it was. Now we know. Come on up. That's fantastic. How are you all? Good, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Julie, would you like to kick off the conversations? Fantastic.
We're here to talk about the land use planning grant application for a farmland preservation plan. And it's highly, highly likely we'll get it. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to just get all the partners in one room and just kind of discuss our goals for this application and get us off to a fast start once we get word that we have the grant. Essentially, it is a $25,000 grant, and talking with Rob, we thought the best use of those funds would be to bring on a consultant and use in-kind matched with employees. So if we get this grant, my board is prepared to come into an agreement with the commissioners to provide staff to help with facilitating these meetings, minutes, agendas. And then Amanda has agreed to be a partner. OSU Extension and Stormwater, we do work well together, and OSU Extension has great access to resources such as surveys, land development issues, things like that. So she's not just one person, but she has access to quite a bit. So we expect this process to be a task force led process. And they, in the past, how they work is we want to be as diverse as possible with municipalities, developers, farmers, because the issues that we're talking about, does have many viewpoints on it. And we don't want just NIMBYism, like, not in my backyard. We do need to hear from a lot of different sides and come up with recommendations. And it's important for the county to be involved because you know what you are, have the authority on, like, these are the issues, and you may hate these things, but here's what we can control or do or not do about them. So, a lot of voices, a lot of, consulting expertise can help with what is possible versus, don't beat your head against that rock.
Yeah.
So, I think that's kind of the goal. And I guess my thing is like, what would you see as a successful farmland preservation plan? Or, what would you hope to accomplish? The grant talks very dryly about, we'll have this meeting, and this outcome, but kind of maybe more, why are we doing this kind of question?
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah, I think the plan was last done, in what, 2000,
1999.
That was the only time it was,
1999? Oh, I thought it was in the 2000s. So it was
And it was
1999.
done grant from the state, so that kind of.
yeah, I don't think it was 99.
Wasn't?
I thought it was-
1999 is the grant. We did do,
Started.
Yeah, I thought there was like an 07 or 08 plan.
there was an update that we kind of did around the era of the recession, which.
I thought I saw something 07, 08 time frame.
I mean, I just remember doing the GIS work on it, like 2001 to something.
So that's kind of, 2002 is when we really got implementation done with it, like the plan was adopted, but it took a couple of years for the county to take those recommendations and implement it.
Yeah.
But yes, the original plan had crayon drawings,
Oh,
and I'm sure in 2002, you're like, let's get rid of the crayon and use.
do you want to do some friend drawings and stuff? Yeah. Yeah, so in my mind, I think, given that that document hasn't been kind of looked at, studied, updated in some time, I think it's worth having that conversation. As you said, there are a lot of probably strong feelings on both sides of that issue. So probably a good time to kind of listen to both sides of that issue and have an open, honest discussion, debate about where that plan was and where we see it going in the future. If there is any need to change it, tweak it, or make significant alterations to that, I think we're open to having those conversations and discussions with the various stakeholders throughout the community. As we talked about earlier, maybe the conversations are had and we decide that ultimately we don't want to change anything. We're happy with where we are. Maybe we go through the process and make minor tweaks, or maybe we make major tweaks. And I think that'll all be part of the process that we go through and what we learn from the stakeholders as we have those public hearings. So that's kind of my vision for the process. I think we want to hear from the community. It's always good to hear from the community. We don't get a lot of opportunities to have large stakeholder meetings. So I think it's a good opportunity to hear from members of the community about the direction of the county. Obviously, we're facing some development challenges and opportunities, but we want to still maintain that our agricultural heritage, our agricultural roots, while still, allowing for some growth and development in the county as well. So it's all about striking that balance. So you want to have a conversation with community members to see if we can't better strike that balance.
Sounds good.
I think what's critical is knowing what the task force is authorized to do. So like how we done in the past was, it was their document. They had to agree to ground rules. So it's like in that NIMBYism, you have to agree to certain ground rules.
Yeah.
And it is something that they created and everybody signed off on it. And the commissioners, you will adopt it, but how you implement it is your choice. Kind of like how you have other plans on the books. It's
Yeah.
just, you are accepting it. They are authorized to do this plan.
I imagine at the end,
But you're the ones that implement. So I think might be some confusion, like, how is this different from a comp plan? You know what I mean? So it's that, what is the line between what are they authorized to do versus, so my expectation is they create this document, they have these wonderful recommendations that they all agree to as a group. You adopt it, but it doesn't necessarily mean you agree with everything that's in it. And that's where my question mark comes in, like, what if there's some things in that plan that you don't agree with?
Yeah, so my thinking is that it is an advisory document. I mean, I don't think we're bound to implement. I mean, if we accept the plan, I mean, we can accept. Really going to be bound by anything that's in it. It's more of an advisory document. So I think we can take from that document which items we'd like to implement, if any. So I think that's kind of our role in this is, you know, put together, you know, when we'll participate in the process as well, but at the end, you know, the final work product will be that kind of recommendation to us as a board, and I think we can take that recommendation and decide what we want to implement or what we would choose maybe not to implement,
Right.
because ultimately we are the decision makers and we can take those recommendations, study those recommendations, decide what, if anything, we want to implement at the end of that process.
So, sorry. So we hire a consultant. We turn them loose. Or do we give them guidance? You know, if you turn somebody loose, then, you know, as a consultant, they're gonna decide what, is that gonna be beneficial? No. Do we give them guidance? How's that gonna work? We can't just hire somebody and say, here, revamp it.
Right.
And then it comes back and it's not what we wanted, right? Or they throw something in there we totally disagree with. So how is that? That's a worry for me, right? Because if I hired a consultant, it would be like, okay, here's what I would like to see. Is that what this group's gonna do?
Right, so the commissioners are going to be the ones that hire the consultant, and they're going to have to write some sort of scope for this consultant to do, so they know, A, how much to bid appropriately. So we have some framework for them, but how many meetings we're expecting them to commit to. Specific topics that we're looking for expertise on is the conditional use for houses in agricultural areas, but also expertise on conservation subdivision, riparian zoning. So we have the Big Darby Creek. And they do want us to think about riparian zoning for water quality on Big Darby Creek. PUDs, planned unit developments, open space requirements, and so I think those kind of expertise is going to be part of their scope. Now, the task force may come up with topics that have nothing to do with zoning. So I feel like our role in this group is if there's other ideas out there for the farmland preservation plan and recommendations, you know, that might be outside the scope of the consultant, but doesn't mean we can't pick up on anything that wasn't defined within that scope, because we're a big part of managing those meetings. But you're right, we have to have a scope for what the consultant's gonna do and be very clear.
And does that occur after a stakeholder meeting, or does that occur before?
I think they know their scope going into it.
That's what I'm saying. Do you have stakeholder meetings first? And then give them the scope? I mean.
No, I think you define the scope for the consultant before you have any stakeholder engagement. That's usually the way
Like
that's done.
consultant there from day one.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta engage.
Because I'm worried that, you know, we decide, you know, maybe some people come in and say, well, nah, man, yeah, and then we go and change it again and then again and again. And we've been through this process, you know, we're going through one right now and, you know, it's not nice and clean as it should be.
Yeah, you give them the scope of the study, kind of, in their work product, what their final work product is in the beginning. I think they know kind of, okay, here's the scope of what we're doing, here's what we're reviewing, here's what we're looking at, here's how many stakeholder meetings we're gonna have. I mean, when you engage the consultant, I think this consultant should be well aware of the scope and what we're engaging them to do prior to engagement.
Yes.
We have to determine what the scope is.
Right, and we did,
I think it was probably what your question was.
Yeah, and she talked a lot about those items, and when she just routed off a list of items that would be in that scope, and I think all of that makes sense in the scope, and that's the thing you have to remember is, you know, as I said, we're not bound to.
How outdated is the last parameters that you set up? I mean, can you use those basis to write the new one?
It looks like the task force was created in '99 and adopted in 2001, and then updated in 2011, 2012. Sound right? So 2011, 12 was the last time we
Yeah, and then,
worked on it, which I wasn't a part of.
Thank goodness.
so yeah, that is interesting. I think you brought up a good point. There could be some topics like, I did not even mention data centers or biodigesters, or what's the next controversy around the corner. So we don't know that the task force could bring up topics that isn't on our list that we want the consultant to work with. And maybe a fair question to ask the consultant is, what do you do if we come up with something that's actually relatable to zoning that we didn't even think of? And maybe the consultant can help us figure out how to write the contract so that he's covered or she's covered and we're covered too. I don't know, but I feel like we have a pretty good list of what we want the consultant to work on, but there could be surprise.
Yeah, so I've got some questions about that. So I agree with the objectives for the project that Commissioner Wallace laid out. The task force, the scope, that's raising some questions for me. So the task force, who creates that? Who decides who's gonna be on that? Is that something that we would control? So just a number of questions around, you're describing, it's like we're at the mercy of what this task force does. Do we have a say in passing the final document? I know Commissioner Wallace said we don't have to implement the recommendations, but do they just run with it and then generate the document and then here it is, or?
Right, so the task force would be stakeholders. And so our list of stakeholders are the elected officials and certain staff members. And then other partners would be Farm Bureau, Friends of Madison County Parks and Trails could be a partner. I mean, we kind of look at our organizations within the county that might be applicable.
Yep.
And again, that home builder hat, that real estate hat, you know, I'm looking at who might be able to fill that bill.
Okay.
And then we have a large gathering of all the stakeholders, our biggest chance to be invited, but then the workforce has got to be a smaller task force. So they can kind of self-nominate themselves from this list, but I do have, when I look at the people on the list, in mind that I think would do a good job, and I would like to twist their arm to be on that task force. Because these days, some people might not have that much time to give, they might need. So I guess I would be looking at the commissioners to say, you know, if there's people you think should be on this committee, I sure would love to get a short list together and work behind the scenes to say, would you be able to help us out this year with this task force? Because we really want your input on this board.
So who approves the final document?
So the task force, when you set the ground rules, you have to say, you gotta be willing to live with things, like what's going on. So I definitely had some recommendations that I was like, well, I don't really like that one, but I can live with it. So the task force is the ones that ultimately say, this is what we want the county to approve. And then the county will receive this planning document. And you know, how do you want to word it, whether you're adopting it or approving it or accepting it or acknowledging it. How you implement it, again, is up to you, but it's not something that.
Yeah, but by accepting this grant, we're not committing ourselves to adopting anything or taking any action. That's my understanding. But it is a study, it is research, it is study, it is recommendations. Whether
That's
whether we choose to move forward with those recommendations is completely within our discretion.
But I think adopting it means, you know, if the task force with these 14 members all say this is what we want, and you're a part of the process, presumably it'll be something you can accept, even if you can't implement or don't implement. It's a document that anybody produces. Like, I think you just have a way of showing you spent money, you have something, you don't. So I guess I do think it's.
Then it'll become public knowledge, and then they'll look at it, and it means nothing.
Why would it?
If we don't implement it.
Well, no, I hope this through this process, we have some things you can do.
Well, I do too. I mean, I'm
And that's
hoping.
why.
Yeah, I can't imagine we go through the process, you know, say there are 10 recommendations on there, maybe we implement 2. I can't imagine we get to the end of this and we don't take any action as it relates to that plan. My only point is, if there are 10 recommendations, we're not bound to
Right.
implement all 10 of those recommendations. We can pick and choose and say, hey, these two make the most sense. We like these two. We there go forward and implement those two. If it goes off
It's not one lump sum.
yeah, if it goes off the rails and they give us a bunch of recommendations that we think are cuckoo, we can throw it in the trash. I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen on the record, but like, we could.
Right.
And you're concerned about the task force focusing on topics that we would not really prefer to be in the scope. I mean, since we have an element of control, can we just say that's not in the scope? I mean, what would be the concern that they're just gonna go down, veer off in pathways we're not interested in? I mean,
Well, I think we work with you, right, to define that scope ahead of time. And that would be my goal,
That's my
was to
first
work with
question.
all of you to define the scope ahead of time, so we do kind of keep it on.
That's my first question.
Yeah,
that would be the whole.
yeah, correct, yeah. I would hope you would come to us and get some guidance. You mean, you already laid out some of the things you want studied, but like, hey, this group here work on the scope of this. Okay, here's the defined scope. Now we engage the consultant, now we engage the stakeholders, because we all have worked together to define the scope. That's my hope.
Have our pre-task force
Correct.
meeting.
That's why I said, we need to give them direction. We can't just
Yeah,
turn them loose and then they say, yeah, we're gonna, the biodigesters are a great idea. Let's put one here or this, you know what I'm saying? You don't know what they're gonna say, but if we ask them to look at it, not biodigesters, obviously, but anything, then they have a way to give us what we ask.
yeah. Then Julia's already kind of defined some of those scope items and, maybe it's tweaking that, adding things to it.
Yeah.
And that's our scope of study. Like, I think we clearly, among this group here, define the scope of the study before we engage any consultant to go down that path.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you all will be engaged during the process, will be involved, so you kind of, it's not a surprise at the end.
Yeah.
To attend some of the meetings, or at least read the summaries and things like that, so you can see, well, this is going in a direction that is not something we're interested in, and we can provide that feedback along the way.
Originally going in, you have some ideas and, your input into that about what word needs. But you have issues that you face that you want addressed and solved, so.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I think I think we have a appropriately defined scope. I think this will be very beneficial in the end.
So one question we had about the resolution today. There's a $25,000 grant, and then you had indicated a 16% in-kind match. How did you arrive at the 16?
So that is 120 hours of in-kind service from 3 employees, Emma, myself, and Amanda, facilitating the meetings and some other behind the scenes work.
And that's the required match? Is that what?
10% is required.
10% is required. But we think we'll be able to meet that match with in-kind work, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't expect us to have to go out of pocket for that match.
Correct.
The only way we have to go out of pocket if we choose to spend more than the $25,000 to achieve the end product.
Correct.
Other than that, it would just be the in-kind contribution from your efforts.
Mhm.
Very good. I think that answers all our questions.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with me.
Thank you, thank you. Then we have that resolution in front of us.
Yeah, resolution authorizing submission of a land use planning grant for Madison County Farmland Preservation Plan update.
I'll make that motion with the 25,000 inserted for the 16% in-kind match.
Second.
One first and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Shea.
Yes.
Dr. Sneak.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. And we're off.
Yeah.
Thank you all, appreciate it, thanks for being, thank you. Ladies, gentlemen, anything else for the good of the record? Going once,
So did your,
going twice, meeting adjourned.
Did you say something? Did?
I did, I heard it. I snuck it in.